Hello, and we are live for this test stream. Basically, uh, first time I'm trying to set up. I'm going to see how that works. Feel free to leave a comment. We are live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So if you leave a comment, I should see it. Um, let's see how that goes. So I'm just basically I'm going to do is basically like going to see your uncle's cringy travel photographs. I'm going to just recap the uh, the little Exile trip thing that I did, um, and we'll be able to enjoy them together. And if you want to ask questions while I do it, feel free to ask questions. So I'm going to limit myself to maximum 1 hour, very, very top maximum, and maximum, let's say, the month of November. So we're going to roll back the clock all the way back to November, and we're going to move forward one day at a time. All right, so it's November 4th. Basically, a trip. Like people are like, "Woo, you did a nice trip. How long did you want to do that trip? It's a nice road trip. Yay!" That's not exactly what happened. What happened was I got a little bit. I got very, very, uh, let's say, annoyed at the direction the country was taking and the kind of winter that we could look forward to in this basically this horrible clown world that Canada has become and is still. So I sort of flipped out and I said, "Screw it! I'm just gonna quit everything and go." So I quit my job. I just jumped basically. I just went across the border. And back then, if you remember, right now the borders is completely closed, so I can't go across the border at all, unless I'm lucky and the border guard doesn't ask me the question about the magic juice. But back then, stupidly enough, you could fly out. You could not drive through. You could fly out, but I wanted to take my car with me. So what I had to do is I had to hire a company called Professional Drivers. Thank you, Professional Drivers. Um, Basically, to fly a driver from the US to Montreal, pick up my car, drive it across the border, and deliver it to me in Boston. So this is what I did on November 4th. I took the plane and I landed in Boston. Meanwhile, the guy in question took my car and drove across the border. He arrived in Boston about 2-3 hours after me. We met at my hotel and he gave me the car and I could begin my trip, my exile, let's say. So Boston was not a place I wanted to see because, as far as I'm concerned, it would be almost as bad as Montreal in terms of anxiety and just rules and all this silliness. But it's still a beautiful city. That was my hotel, the Kendall. It's built in an old fire station, and really it's really a beautiful city. But yes, the level of anxiety was through the roof. I've never seen so much outdoor masking as I've seen in Boston. This was uh, really worse than Montreal in many ways, and so I was not having a good time. But it was just one day, right? I land, I pick up the car, I walk around the park, and I get in my car and I go. Um, I like to that trip was what was fun is I could meet some of the people that I deal with online. So I met this woman who's at MIT, and she said she was having a horrible time because of the mandates. I Yeah, there was a lot of juice requirements at MIT if you study at MIT, and she was adamant that she was not going to go through that. And I reached out to her recently, and it's still a struggle. But there you go. That's the first day. Now let's get the real trip started. So the next day, I drove all the way to Arlington, Virginia. I rented a hotel room for a couple of days right next to Arlington National Cemetery. I have, as some of you may know, I have family in the cemetery. So I thought, well, I'll just stop by, pay my respect, and also I'm very familiar with Washington, and so I'll explore it. And for the first time, because one of the thing I wanted to do the most during that trip, even though it got planned really really quickly, it was to bring my bike and do as much biking as possible. Now I had a trail planned for Boston. It was just way too cold. It was way too cold to bike. So basically, I got started in Washington, D.C. This was the view from my hotel. This is National Air Force Monument. And this is my nice, cute little carbo that I took around. This is the Washington National Cathedral. Beautiful building. The riverfront, and a bunch of shots from the different. That path is north of the city. It is very beautiful. Let's just skip one day. Yeah. So I was not using Strava yet, and this is very imprecise. Like, there's no way I biked like this, but it gives you an idea. Basically, there's this bike path that starts in Georgetown. I would always leave my hotel directly by bike around the cemetery, and just go bike. So I went around Georgetown, and then I followed this bike path, which is just lovely, and it goes all the way to Bethesda, Maryland. It was one of the more beautiful paths that I've seen, and strangely enough, I biked across the famous or infamous Dr. Wen. Is it Leanna Wen? So at first I biked across her. She was taking a walk on the same path, and you just take a glance, and you're like, oh, is that her? Is that not her? How do you know, right? You're just biking past someone. But going all the way to Bethesda and then biking back, I biked across her again, and I was like, oh yeah, that's her. I didn't say hi. She was now she's on Team Relax, but back then she was Team Panic, and Team Panic are not my friend by default. So anyways, then the next day I went to, so I both biked all the way through to Mount Vernon. So this is one of my longest ride that I made throughout this trip. It was at least 50 kilometers. I was not using Strava yet, so the kilometers is approximate. But I think that's it, right? And already after the bike ride, I went down to Dale City. I went to have dinner with the help of my uncle and aunt, who are now buried at Arlington. She was a real angel, and she took good care of both my uncle and aunt. So I wanted to pay her dinner. So we went to Cheesecake Factory, and it was her choice. No judgment. It was her choice. I know people who know me know that I don't need anyone to twist my arm to go to Cheesecake Factory. So that was fun. And then right away, I left Washington, and I went to this place called Damascus, which, if you know another Damascus, it's not the same. Damascus is a very, very small village in Southwest Virginia, which is not West Virginia. It's still in Virginia, but it's in the southwest of Virginia. I had this Airbnb right next to the river. Really a thing of beauty. The only problem is the Wi-Fi was not working. So that made me quite sad, and reception was horrible. So it was like not having internet, which would be great if not for the fact that throughout this trip, I never had any idea where I was going to sleep next. So I always need the internet to book the next thing, right? So anyway, the main reason why I was there was the Virginia Creeper Trail, which I biked across 2 days. But let's go back and look at some of the pictures. Because I skipped all the Washington pictures. I'm just going to go quickly because there's going to be a lot of woods. And this is Arlington National Cemetery in Washington. This is Robert E. Lee's old house looking down on Washington. Now it's been converted into part of the cemetery. Let's take a look at, we'll go across quickly. Yeah, I love filming Canada Goose. You'll see a recurring theme because I counted them as fellow refugees from Canada. So I liked filming the goose. This is the I'm always confused how to call that in English. The columbarium, or the place where all the urns are stored of the people who are buried in Arlington. So I went there to what is that? To visit my uncle, John Wesley Stark. Right now, my aunt is in there with him, but back then it was just him, and the plaques still takes week to do so. Anyways, let's move forward. This is also, that's me. That was the airport that my uncle used to take us when we visited. It's right next to a park. Skip quickly. That's still the Alexandria. That's my uncle's old house in Alexandria. All right, let's move a bit quickly. And now we're at my little cabin in Damascus. This was basically on the balcony of the little cabin. Very, very good looking, let's say. Liked it a lot. It was very quiet. Aside from the lack of internet, it was just a thing of beauty. Yeah, that's another shot. And then the Virginia Creeper Trail was right across, so I didn't need to take my car. Something that's going to be recurrent is the necessity to take my car. Now that's just to reach the bike path that I want to do. Now this is the Virginia Creeper Trail, just beautiful. It might look, you might say it looks like, I don't know if you go to Train du Nord somewhere in the Laurentians, but heck, it doesn't look like that in November, that's for sure. That's me with my smile. And yeah, so the creeper trail, the way that it works is that you start at Damascus. Damascus is the best place if you ever want to do the creeper trail, because you basically, Damascus is the lowest point on the trail, so you go in that direction and it goes up most of the way. So what that means is that you expend your energy as you bike up the hill, and then when you reach the top, you're quite tired and exhausted, but then you just have to let yourself slide back down to go back home. So that's pretty damn cool. And that's day 2 in Damascus. So same thing in reverse. Uh, this one was quite a lot shorter and not a lot of much less climbed. Um, and had a good time there. Let's go back and look at some of the pictures. Yeah, I like taking panoramas. Oh yeah, I like these sorts of bridges. They're all well, not all, but most of the trails I've done are rail trails. Rail trails are basically converted a train infrastructure, so they just took old passenger lines or whatever, since train usage has gone down quite a lot, and they're converting them to basically bike path. So that's good. So that's White Top. That's when you reach the top of the east side of the first. That's on the first day, and then after that, it's second day. Yay! Yeah, like you can imagine what this used to look like as a train, as a track. Like you can see that this is the kind of scenic train ride one could take, across the wilderness. Well, now you can still do it, but on your bike. This section right here had been completely destroyed by a tornado and rebuilt. It was quite impressive. I think I have, yeah. This is what it used to look like in 2011 when it got completely ripped to shred by a tornado. Sad. Oh, that's me cheating. You'll have a lot of that. That was a nice cheesecake from artisanal, not like a local place. I tried not to do it too much, but I failed. I think. Ooh, why did I shoot my G Fuel thing? Oh, wait, am I on the right album? Because that's just grocery. That was. Let's hope that those are the most embarrassing pictures I'll have during this stream. Haha. Yeah, that was still a little pond after that. And now we are switching city. So I'll go back to this view. And so the next day I drove all the way to Nashville, Tennessee. So this, by the way, just to give you an idea, the moment you go south of Washington, the moment you go into like south of what's called the Mason-Dixon line, everything becomes so relaxed as far as COVID. Like you don't, it's not there. It's not a thing that people talk about. It's not a thing that happens. I went to see a movie in Arlington. I went to see Dune, even though in Quebec it would have been unthinkable without showing my little loyalty pass, my little QR code. So and no mask at all ever. Since on this trip, since I left Boston, I didn't wear a mask once. I'll let you know every time I actually had to wear a mask, and Nashville is one of those times. So driving to Nashville, a beautiful drive through the Appalachios. and reaching Tennessee was a bit the same as other places, but it was the first big city since, let's say, Arlington, that I have gone through. I saw something called the Music City Trail, um, which I bike. It was I didn't like that one so much. Music City Bikeway actually is the proper name. I didn't like that one that much. The main problem with it is too many hills. Yeah, it's in the mountains, so you constantly either you're going up or you're going down, or you're going up and you're going down. Um, well, with the carbo, I got the engine right. So when you go up too much, I would see people like pushing their bikes up the hill, and I would just bike past them because I'd turn on the motor. Uh, but it's really not what you want, right? Uh, so couple of shots. Then I went on Broadway in Nashville. That one was the most, I would say, the most eye opening. You see here, this one is sort of sad though, because the kid appears to be the only one wearing a mask, and so which is like a strange, bizarro inversion, right? Kids are not at risk, but they give masks to kids. Some states are like that, which is a bit sad. They're focusing on schools and everything, but overall, like he's the only one I've seen the whole day with a mask. And you see, this is a bar that's like 3 floors, completely jam packed, live music, people singing, people dancing, not a trace of any measure or anything, not a sign, not an anything. Um, so that was quite a lot of that was quite a good feeling. So that's the Johnny Cash Museum. I took some shots from my friend Vincent, who's quite a big Johnny Cash fan. I didn't go in there. I don't know the guy. What is that? Oh yeah, that's. I went to the Dukes of Hazzard Museum. Ooh. I don't know if you guys know Dukes of Hazzard. I'm very old, so I got raised on that show. It's a very old TV show, and the theme is basically I don't even remember, but there's always like these guys are trying to outrun the cops. They're sort of living their own ways. That's why they have the sort of the Confederate flags, and they're like they don't like authority. And then the cops constantly try to chase them, and they constantly fail. It was a cute little show when I was young. I don't think I would like it watching it today, but I used to be a huge fan. I just don't remember it. I don't remember it, but I still wanted to hit the museum. That's the sheriff. I'll catch these guys, sort of deal. Hold on, you Dixie. That's just me photographing the parking lot so that I remember where I parked. I did not go in the Grand Ole Opry again. This is not really my world, but I remember as a kid that played all the time. There was always like the Grand Ole Opry, and I don't know if it was like in the morning during the morning cartoon. Anyway, I remembered it, so I wanted to at least walk around it. Took a few selfies, big old guitar, and this is the Parthenon. The Parthenon is uh, it's a reproduction, a sort of a reproduction type of the Parthenon in Greece, uh, uh, but in Nashville. So it's a museum. It feels a little bit like We Can Do It Too. Um, uh, it's pretty good looking. The bad thing about it is I don't think I'm gonna have shots of it. That's a view of the park from it. The Parthenon is the first place in that trip where I was compelled by a ticketing person to wear a mask. So you could not enter the Parthenon without wearing a mask. And that was uh, most of the time I would have just turned back, but I had some time to kill and I wanted to go inside. And so I just paid the price and I wore my mask, and not that much worth it. It's more like a history of Nashville type museum inside a Greek looking Parthenon. It was all right, but you start wearing the mask, and soon enough you got you. It's annoying. It's hot. You don't want that. I didn't go there for that, so I sort of regretted visiting the Parthenon. Um, this is the statue for um, women's liberation movement. That's inside the Parthenon. There's this big statue. Um, and again, just outside, more Canada Goose, also in exile. I went to a Lebanese restaurant, and I ordered shish taouk, and that's what it looked like. It was very, very fancy shish taouk, both in looks and in price, but I really, really enjoyed it. All right, where are we now? I think we were already gone. Hold on. So yeah, Bike City here. Let's. The next day in Nashville, I just drove around. That includes the trip to the Parthenon. I did not bike around. And then I immediately drove to Memphis. So the picture you saw was already being in Memphis. Um, so again, it starts to get a little bit flatter from Nashville to Memphis, but it's still the Appalachians, and it was a good ride. And the next day, so I discovered what I discovered in Memphis. Let's go back to the pictures. First of all, when I arrived, the first place I parked is in this little park. And when I entered, I was following this car that entered the same park that I was going to. And he had put on his rear window, "Let's go, Brandon," which I thought was quite hilarious. So I followed him to the parking spot and just shake his hand and say hi, and because he happened to park, and funny guy, he uses this car as a taxi, as an Uber. So he's sort of um, spreading the meme. This is the same park, a really, really lovely park. Oh, Rebel ice cream. I love these. They're not available in Canada. They're low carbs, so you can have ice cream and not cheat. More Canada Goose. Yay. I love my Canada Goose. All right. Enough Canada Goose. So, going back to the bike path. The first day, what I did is that I traveled to that park, and I just had a little bit. I explored just a little bit of it with my bike, but then I discovered that it leads all the way. There's a bike path that starts from this park, which was close to my Airbnb, and which was right there, I think. No, it was right there, and it leads all the way to Memphis. So even though the first day I just went around by car, I discovered that I could just bike there the next day. So this was one of my longest ride on record, 64 kilometers. I don't think that's accurate. I need to lift my Strava stats just to see. But it starts from the park, and you can ride all the way to downtown Memphis, which is just great, and it looks so great almost throughout the whole experience. You've got like it basically looks like this. Yeah, I took a picture of this because I found it funny that like basically if you're on a bike, you're about to go down a hill, but if you're on a wheelchair, you're about to go up a hill. Ooh, um, that's just how the signs are made. But I thought it was hilarious. Um, so yeah, so you ride all the way to downtown, and most of it just looks like that. So like how better uh, how much more can you ask for if that's your daily commute? I don't know, but um, it's just yeah, that was such a disappointment. There's a place called the Cheesecake Boss, and I was like, oh, I gotta check out the Cheesecake Boss because I love cheesecake. And then I realized it was under construction and would open after I leave Memphis. Sad. That's me in front of Sun Studio. Again, um, yay Sun Studio, but I have no idea. I have no idea about music. So again, that park, I'll look up the name again because it's so beautiful. And there was this weird pyramid in Memphis when I biked there. Um, why not? There are some in Egypt. Why not in Memphis? Um, Oh yeah, I, I took that photograph because basically it's an old busted up, long closed store called the Canadian Club. I thought that was hilarious. Um, so I have no idea what used to be there. I just know that it's not what it used to be. Um, Church's Chicken. I don't know why I took. I thought it was funny. I suppose Church's Chicken. Is it a church or is it a chicken store? Who knows? Um, and again, that's what your commute would look like if you use that bike path to go to work every day. And I'm starting to think that this is the kind of future that I would want. Um, oh yeah, that's when the bike pole in my Airbnb fell. That's really interesting that it's there. I should really clean up that album before the next stream. Um, again, same park. Let me just get that name for you. It's a gigantic park, really, and it's the something farm Shelby Farm Park. It's got all sorts of activities. You can bring your kids. There are animals to see. Um, and there's a nice area here where you can kayak and these nice chairs. At one point, I just sat down and I was like, yeah, that's sort of life. And this is some guy doing what's that called? I don't remember what that's called, but he had fun. Again, shots of that park. That's me getting a haircut. I was quite happy to finally get a haircut. I had been postponing getting a haircut because I didn't want to have a haircut in Quebec because I was just tired of the all the show that you had to go through. I think those are videos that I posted previously. City Hall cheesecake. That one was actually in Mississippi. I crossed state lines just to get cheesecake. I don't know what if that makes me a criminal or something like that. But it was delicious. Then the next day, this time I actually did a music related thing. I went to Graceland. Actually went to Graceland. Um, Ticket and all. Um, that's of course that's Elvis's old house, mansion, land. Um, it's me inside Graceland. That's of course when Elvis played Han Solo in Star Wars. That's a joke. Um, and some of the awards he won, um, costumes he wore, um, how he influenced um, other bands like Kiss, who I actually know. I know music because I know Kiss. That's him shaking hands with Richard Nixon. Um, and a lot of his vehicles that he owned or that he played in movies with. Lots of good looking cars, bikes, lots of things that, frankly, I could not imagine existed. That's a good looking car. I have a thing for older cars. And who doesn't really? That's his pink Cadillac, of course. Going through them quickly because we're just not gonna have enough time. This one I like though. Ooh, imagine riding in that. That reminds me of the movie Needful Things. I think he had a car like that. All right, let's. Oh, that was his private jet, the Lisa Marie. That's the big one, and that's the small one. I don't remember the name of that one. So you can actually visit his private jet, which is more or less as it was. Um, onion rings. It's a barbecue place where I had onion rings. This is past Memphis. This is actually in Hope's something Spring, right? That's we are now on November 19th already. And we are in Hot Springs, just Hot Springs. Would have liked to stay longer. So I just booked one night and I came in late and I had to leave early. So I can't say that I enjoyed a lot of Hot Springs, but that's the view from there's a famous place where you can drive up the hill and just watch the sunset, and it's quite beautiful. Again, that's the view panorama. That's after the sunset. That's the city of Hot Spring. Yeah, that's in Hot Spring. I thought it was interesting, and I thought I'd look this up. They had a flag with 3 fleurs-de-lis on it. Why? That's a good question, right? Oh, spoiler alert. After Hot Spring, I just got back into my car and I drove all the way to Texas. 7 hours. That's one of my longest drive. Basically, I had booked this. That's going to be a very atypical Airbnb for me. How are we doing on time? Oh, okay. I think we're going to be able to close November quite easily. So I went to a thing called Cedar Ridge RV Park, which was just outside of Dallas. Did not stop in Dallas. I just went around it, but it was still cool I used to watch the show Dallas like a lot. And when you come in from here, you sort of recognize the scenery of having this giant flat desert like, and then having the city pop out in the distance. That's quite the view, and I enjoyed it. and I went around the Beltway, though I did not go through Dallas. Went to Cedar Ridge. Was not. I believed that's when I entered Texas. I had to get a shot of the flags. Lovely flag. I have one right there now on my wall, but it's not the same flag. I did not steal that flag. I bought a flag, right? So when you enter Texas, you finally get some In-N-Out burger. Yay! They actually serve a keto version of their burger, but I did not have it because I'm a bad boy. So this is where I slept. It's like a very tiny house in the middle of nowhere, and it was, well, it's the middle of an RV park, so it's fine, but it was still deathly quiet. It felt very like this is from the inside, like atypical, let's say, of things that I usually sleep in. But it was quite nice. And that's the moon from there. So there's two reasons why I went there. I thought I got confused with the trail application that I was using. I thought there would be a big bike trail across the dinosaur park. Turns out it's not that suitable for bikes. It's mostly for hiking. But still, so there's a park because it's a place where they actually found dinosaur footprints. So you can visit them, and that's not an actual dinosaur. So this is a lovely little river, and in this area here is where there are still tracks of dinosaurs, or well, they've been more or less erased now, but that's where they picked them up. You can see where they picked up the pieces of clay, basically, that had dinosaur footprints. Like you can still see those holes. Well, there you go. Oh, there's still a few tracks left, but who knows how much is real and how much is just bullshit. Who knows? Let's move on. Yeah, that's sadly no bike on this side, but it says bike here. That's weird. Still, it was a lovely sort of a trek across the woods. It's always weird because when you enter Texas for the first time, your thoughts are always like Texas rattlesnake, like there's going to be a snake somewhere. I have not seen a single snake in the Hall of Texas. But I've seen beautiful scenery. That's me. Biloxi River scenic overlook. That the previous shot was right there on the overlook, and this is the river, lovely river. Crossing on these are the fossil track explanations. Now I'm gone from that place, and I am. This is the trek I did, and the next day I drove all the way to Austin, Texas. Another long ride. Well, 3 hours and 40 minutes, and I did a quick stop in Georgetown to eat, which is what this guy is. He's a statue in Georgetown. Food. Ice cream sandwich. That's cheating. So that's the first year ever that I've been in places where that I've been through both Christmas and the New Year without any sort of snow at all. So seeing all these Christmas decorations, that was very new, like green grass, full trees, Christmas decorations. I didn't uh, feel exactly that registered weirdly in my brain. So we're gonna go across. That's low carb ice cream. Ice cream. That's actually when I reached Austin. It was the first time that I had a full blown kitchen, so I could actually cook, and I cooked some keto cookies with keto ice cream. So that ice cream sandwich was not even cheating. There you go. That's mostly what I did when I had a place where I could cook. I would cook, and like that's French toast, but with keto bread, so it's fully keto. So I would eat well for the time I had full blown apartments. Not so much when I was on the road. Um, Again, that's Austin. What is that place? Wow. Am I that old that I don't remember these places? So that was my first bike ride. Was not even. I just left my Airbnb and went for a quick ride and came back in the neighborhood. I don't think that picture is from there though. The next day, I just went to Target to buy some stuff. So these were an uneventful day. Now that's probably where this fortress thing is being shot, but I have no idea. Just out of order? I mean, it almost looked like San Marcos, but it can't be San Marcos because I've got a long way to go before I reach. Yeah, that's San Marcos. Okay, what happened to my photos? Did I take so little picture in is there a thing that happened? Because I have a ton of pictures from in and around Austin that should happen way before that. Because that's clearly Florida much later. Um, St. Augustine. Um, well, we're going to find them for the next stream, or they're lost forever. Who knows? It's too bad, though, because there was a lot of cool places. As you can see, when I was in Austin, I took it easy a lot of the time. But one of the things that I did is that I would bike up to this. This was a really nice bike path, and but I need pictures, otherwise, well. This one though was my longest bike path, I think, around Austin, and most beautiful. Again, would help if I had pictures. There's a giant dam here. I know I have pictures of this. This is a bit weird. Let me just try something out, and I'll just um, see if I can make sense of what's happening. I can't, because that's clearly San Marcos. So there's something that I did wrong when I built the album. So I'm going to have to. We're going on the hour, anyways. So let's just say I've made it to Austin. What day am I? Oh, we're November 29th, right? So this is almost the end of November. I'll come back to Austin and Georgetown, the photographs there, just show you a little bit what I did. Like you can see, I went to see Ghostbuster Afterlife also. Went to Austin. Yeah, I have good shots. I have good shots of this. This bike path basically goes around in circle. So you go from the north shore of the river to the south shore of the river. You can take a loop and see Austin. I have a couple of really, really great Austin shots from there. And then, yeah, this is in Austin. This is where I met Carrie Smith, who hosts the Deprogrammed podcast. Back then, she was with Unsafe Space, but she's moved on since then. She was so great. We hung out a lot. She took me to her church on the Sunday, and I had a great time. Talked with everyone. She brought me to the what's this? The Christmas Walk in Georgetown, which is like a town fair. Met so many great people. It's so much better to travel when you meet people, especially like-minded people. And Carrie was great. I miss Carrie and I miss Texas. Hopefully, I go back. Check out her podcast, Deprogrammed, with Carrie Smith. All right, so basically, I stayed in Austin until December 6th. And then December 6th, I went to Houston. And all of this will be on the next stream, which won't be tomorrow. Tomorrow, I have another online thing that I want to do. But I will be there on Tuesday for... I'll probably cover all the way to the end of the year. So thank you for watching. We had an average of 1 viewer. Hello, Laurette. And we'll see you on Tuesday. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.